Yeah, welcome back to An Orchard of the World. I almost said An Orchard of Winter, which is our play within the game. I'm Kat. This is our little adventure into Chekhovian good society. It's mostly been working. We're a bunch of theater people, so we have messy, dramatic lives. I'd love to introduce the cast because they're so good. So first up, why don't we introduce our last minute replacement who has done a wonderful job coming in under extremely difficult circumstances, and we cannot thank him enough. And to boot, his character is just a menace, a force of nature on the hurricane scale. Please let's welcome Brian, who's playing Elizaveta Kirillovna Oblonskaya.
Hello. Yes, I am playing Elizaveta. She is the head of. She was, at least until very recently, the most prominent actress within the theater. And last session, the starring role went to a newer, younger actress, and she is currently trying to find her way back to prominence through any means necessary.
So why don't we go next to someone I am always ecstatic to play with, even though now I have enough times that I should be starting to getting bored, but I just can't quit you, Richard. Please let's welcome Richard, who's playing the is hapless too strong a word? Anatoly Ruslanovich Sidorov.
I would call him hapless, except he's a little too self-centered to be hapless. I am playing Toya. My name is Richard. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm playing Toya, also pronouns he, him. And Toya is a playwright, a in residence at the Kovalyov Playhouse this season, and has already found himself inserted into the war between Varya and Liza for leading roles in the company.
I mean, is it really a war? Yeah, actually, I guess it kind of is a war. It's a battle for the soul of the Kovalyov, and possibly Alina. You know, whatever. So cool. Let us go to the leading lady of the Kingsport Trauma Society, but in this game, a merely an eccentric artist. Please let's welcome Daryl, who's playing Timofey Petrovich Yashin.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Daryl. My pronouns are he, him, and I am playing our beloved artist Timosha. I have been sowing discord wherever I set my hand down. Basically, I am a radical revolutionary abstract artist who is the hot thing about town, and I've done all of this. I've climbed to the pinnacles of Moscow's art society and ingratiated myself into the Kovalyov Theater's little family, even though I am not a theater person myself, in order to exact some form of revenge against all of the people who abandoned me. That would include my dear Tolia, who got to become something of a famous playwright and quickly ditched me, and I've got feelings about that. And then also my dear Liza, who there was a thing about a man, and the man ended up leaving both of us, but she didn't take it very well. The unwitting pawns of my scheme are my dear Varya, who have the worst codependent kind of relationship where they are explicitly just using each other for all sorts of ill gains and maybe care about each other, maybe don't. They don't think about it too hard. And then dear Alina, whom honestly, I think Alina's the only person that Timofey might actually just feel nice about. I'm like, you deserve to have art in your life. Let's try to bring some of that into your world, but also you're a tool for me as well. So, yeah, I want revenge. I'm not really sure what revenge looks like just yet, but I'm getting it.
I believe the kernel of Varya's and Timosha's relationship can be summed up in, but at least the sex was good. Speaking of weird codependent relationships, for the characters in your game, I think our relationship is entirely healthy, Leandro. You clearly are enjoying the misery that we inflict on you, but please, it's welcome. One of my other favorite people to play with, Leandro, who's playing the aforementioned Alina Grigorievna Kovalyova.
One should be wary of enjoying misery being inflicted on them through the medium of role-playing games. But for now, I'm just gonna keep pressing on. Hi, I'm Leandro. You see him pronouns. I'm playing the aforementioned Alina Grigorievna Kovalyova. She her pronouns. She is the business side of the Kovalyov Theater, who is kind of making sure everything's running shipshape, to the detriment of her own wants and desires, which through the course of this series, she's been kind of figuring out that maybe she can want something. She can have little of something of anything. Maybe, who knows? And she's getting like increasingly tired of all the petty drama happening around her that she has had little to no energy to care about. Sorry, Varya. And last time we saw her, she was like, yeah, at the point where like, okay, these actresses are being this writer who I'm kind of into. So he won't get it. Timofey is being weird. Maybe I should just go. Maybe I should just go. That's kind of like her state of mind as we left her last time.
I think Alina is not going to be fine. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to buck tradition on that. Hi, my name is Kat. I am the facilitator, but pay me no mind. This was my idea a while ago. We started with Tolstoy, but we ran out of Tolstoy to do, so we decided to do Chekhov, who's my other favorite Russian writer. And spoiler, I'm going to try real hard to do Dr. Zhivago, Good Society, in January. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I am playing Varya Pavlovna Morozova, who is a very earnest and strong-willed young woman who believes strongly in her talents and kind of wants people to be happy around her, but I can't say that she does that much maintenance on that. So poor Varya. She is still very young. So when last we left off, we had just finished everything up through the epistolary phase. So nothing like kicking off a session of Good Society with some letters. It's still 19th century Russia, so we still do write letters. We write letters. Does anyone have a letter?
So we talked about setting this like probably around after the production of display.
Question in spring. Yeah. Actually, that reminds me. I wanted to spend a resolve token. He'll tell me how many I need to spend maybe for the table, but I want the play to actually have been a hit.
I was going to spend a resolve token for the same thing because it's not what Tolya wants to do. Tolya very much does not want to be writing comedies.
I tell you what, why don't you spend the resolve token for it to be a hit? My resolve token is that Varvara and Yelizaveta play the two leading roles and are both good enough in them that at one point they switch parts and it still works. But I'll let Brian let me know if that's acceptable or if he needs to have a condition on that.
Is it just that they switch roles, or does that result in something?
I mean, I just wanted them to switch roles as a sign that they were both good and good enough that it wasn't the case that one part was better written for the other than the other one. But that one's not a condition. I just wanted them both to be good in it. So I'd like you to have a more complicated choice.
I don't necessarily feel like that makes it a more complicated choice, though. Like I think it ends up being the calculus is still the same. You know.
Well, do you now want to destroy the Kovalyov like you were thinking by buying it, or are you going to just try and move on and?
Oh, I was never thinking of destroying the Kovalyov. Buying it is a whole nother question. Yeah, I don't think that would change the calculus on that decision, though.
That's
I'll
fine.
be honest.
That's fine. But then at the very least, I don't want you to have something to complain about.
I mean, I like having things to complain about. That
Oh
is
no,
narrative.
I'm sure Liza will find something to complain about.
Sure. I mean, I'm okay with them switching, although, to be honest, I don't think it's going to change much.
No, that's totally fine.
As long as they are both equally good, I don't think it changes the arithmetic there.
Sure. I think they did it one time. They just did it in the middle of the show. They waited for people to wait and wanted to speak. They wanted to see what the audience would do. All right.
Okay.
So having resolved all that, enforcing poor Richard to have to come up with a new name for a play potentially. Does anyone have a letter now?
So the play is a success.
Yeah, I know.
It's shocking, I know, Alina, isn't it? It's shocking.
Yeah.
I give you full credit. Victor gets none.
Okay, all right. I think Alina is going to write to Victor. And the letter goes, Dearest Victor, I hope, unlike our previous letters, I'm not expecting a reply to this one, as this is merely a letter stating an intent that I've already carried out. With the success of A Question in Spring, and with the Kovalyov Theater, at the very least in some kind of stable state, I'm writing to tell you that I am taking up an extended leave from running the operations of the Kovalyov Theater, and will be spending some time doing other pursuits of some sort. I haven't really figured out what those pursuits are, but I'm quite interested in figuring those out. For the moment, I leave the Kovalyov entirely within your hands. Your dear sister, Alina.
I'm going to write a letter to Victor. Dearest Victor Grigorovich Kovalyov, I wanted to let you may have heard recently of the announcement of my marriage to Vitaly Vladisovich Svetlov. There's no need to send congratulations. I fully expect that nobody in the theater is truly true. No need to send congratulations, as I am well familiar with, I'm sure, your feelings as well as those of your sister and everybody else at the theater. I wanted to let you know that on behalf of my husband, I'm reaching out to you, or on behalf of my future husband, I am reaching out to inquire as to your asking price for the theater. He's promised me a gift, and I have thought it would be very nice to own the theater in which my career flourished to its full capacity. Please write back. Let me know what needs to be done. Your friend, Elizaveta Kirilovna Oblanskaya.
I'll just be honest, I really want to write like a letter from Victor to someone, but I don't know who is the right fit for, oh my God, what do I do? To my dear Anatoliy Ruslanovich Sidorov, from your friend Victor Grigorievich Kovalyov of the Kovalyov Theater, I hope this letter finds you well, and I hope it finds you celebrating the success of A Question in Spring. I could not have been happier with the outcome of our newest comedy, and I know that you must also be overjoyed at the new success that you have found in Russia's theatrical societies. After all, this play has outperformed An Orchard in Winter to a marked degree and has brought many new eyes to your work. With that said, I write to you today with a heavy consideration that weighs upon my mind. And as the other pillar of the Kovalyov Theater, Anatoliy, I write to you because I want to hear how such a thing might affect your choices going forward. I have received a very generous and thought-provoking offer for the theater from a Mr. Svetlov. I will not bore you with the details of how such an offer may have come to my table, but only to say that it is exceedingly generous and could potentially lead to many new future adventures for myself and my business prospects. As you know, my dear sister Alina has absconded from her position and left me completely without basis for moving forward. And I will admit that though the theater is a family treasure and has been with us for so long, that perhaps, like all things, it is time to say goodbye to this particular moment in time and move on into the future, as was one of the maxims of An Orchard in Winter. I beg you, my dear friend, please advise me. I know that Mr. Svetlov would undoubtedly carry on the fine traditions of our theater and continue to employ you as the playwright in residence, as it were, although I'm sure there would be some sort of shifting of the current retinue. But this just strikes me as a moment that could potentially parlay into much bigger and more exciting adventures, not just for myself, but for you as well. For any venture that I proceed with going forward, I would most certainly remember the person who was able to stoke the flames of my ambitions. If you would like to discuss this venture and see how we might mutually benefit from it, please find me at my rooms in XY apartment complex. Yours sincerely, your dear benefactor, Viktor Grigorovich Kovalyov.
Dear benefactor.
I do have a letter. Timothy Petrovich. Timothy, where are you right now? In Moscow, Petersburg, Istanbul, Greece.
I think I've absconded to the continent, and I'm probably far away after having seen through the successful opening of the play, but I didn't stick around for the closing. So yeah, like Florence. I'm back in Florence.
Dearest Timosha, thank you for your telegram letting me know that you have arrived in Florence safely. I cannot work under these conditions. Not only is the poorest, saddest excuse for a comedy ever to cross a playwright's pen, my most successful play thus far, but now Victor is coming to me for theater management suggestions. Apparently there's an offer to buy the theater, and he wants to know, oh God, where did Alina go? That's what everyone wants to know. Where is dear Alina? Oh, sweet. And now everyone in Moscow expects to sit with me at dinner and have me be amusing. I need a long trip to Italy or Greece or somewhere where no one knows who I am, and I can just be petulant in peace. I hope the weather remains lovely and that the storms that so often pop up this time of year have abated or not appeared. Uh, how long do you expect to be in Florence? Uh, yours entirely, Tolia.
A letter to Anatoly Ruslanovich. That consists of a sheaf of 2 manuscripts. The first of which, entitled "The Storm Begins." The morning after the storm, Marya Petrovich walked out. The sky was clear and blue, but by the remains of the chicken shed, she realized that her prized chickens had been destroyed in the storm. And the second, called "The Frost Ends." After he returned from the ball, Kostya spent a sleepless night tossing and turning. The sun came up very early that morning. It was almost the equinox. He stood at the window, the sound of the music still ringing in his ears, thinking, how can it be that I should have kissed this girl, and I'll never know her name or see her again? How could this have happened? How could so much have changed in this one moment? He opened the curtains. Outside, the trees had burst into bloom and were dripping white petals down onto the earth. A frost had set in overnight. It glinted in the sunlight. He could see the workmen leaving for their duties in the orchard and in his fields. He stood there for a long time contemplating. And there's finally a brief note. Dear Tolia, thank you so much for the tea for the many times we have taken tea together in this past few months. I have no doubt that it made the hectic nature of our work at the theater bearable. And certainly for me, I have tried to take every inch of advice that you gave me. I only regret that my recent travels have kept me from enjoying those afternoons with you. I do hope that you will find the revisions I have made acceptable, and if either of the 2 stories meets with your standards, I would ask you to do me the great favor of forwarding them to whatever friendly editor at whatever friendly literary journal you may know. You may, of course, come up with some name if you do not feel that a woman author would be acceptable in these conservative times. I do hope you like the latter story. I cannot say that I was not thinking somewhat of you when I was writing it. But as we both know, inspiration ranges far and wide, and the simplest thing may cause it to bloom. The glint in an eye, a casually dropped word, a little droop of sadness in the cheek of a friend. I look forward to seeing you as soon as I return to Moscow. Vienna has been lovely. We move on to London tomorrow. I only wish that I was less alone on this journey. Yours most affectionately, Varya.
All right. Well, I've got one for Varya. Dear Varya, I sent this to your home, but it was forwarded to. I'm sorry. Did you say she was in Venice? Doesn't matter.
Vienna.
I get those 2 confused all the time. Vienna. But it was forwarded. But I was told you were in Vienna, so I'm sending it to you there. I wish to let you know that I wish to do you this service because I know you would do me the same in turn. I wish to let you know that not only am I have I been asked and answered to wed, but that my husband, my future husband, has said that he is interested in purchasing our beloved Kovalyov theater, and that we've made an offer, although it hasn't been chosen, or although it hasn't been accepted quite yet. I have no doubt that that the purchase will be finalized before you return to Russia. And when that happens, I look forward to working with you again on far more even grounds. It was a pleasure serving as your counterpart in the most recent performances. Now I hope we can continue to to act together in future performances. Your dear friend, Elizaveta Kirilovna Oblinskaya.
Dear Alina Grigorievna Kovalyova, I hope that this letter finds you well and has somehow made its way to wherever it is that you squander away your time in relaxation and peace. I hope that you are not indulging in too many numbers and that you are partaking of different forms of art, no matter what that may look like to you. It would be my greatest wish that this letter could merely be a missive from a hopefully considered dear friend to wish you well. However, I think that it is important to inform you of developments at home. I have heard rumor that Victor is very close to selling off the theater that you have poured so much of your blood, sweat, and tears into. I have heard that he intends to sell it to a certain Lord Svetlov, connected to our dear Liza. I hope that this news greets you not as a surprise, but as something that you have already verily considered. And no matter what you decide, I will be there to support you as, again, your friend and confidant in the arts. My one wish in bringing this to your attention is just to consider all of the things that you have poured so much of your time and energy into with the Kovalyov Theater. Though, of course, you could always go and start somewhere new and do some new thing and build back up all of that reputation and all of that dedication to a new theater, I wonder if that is truly what you wish. I wonder if you are truly willing to say that the art of the Kovalyov is behind you, or if you're finally willing to take part in it the way that you were always meant to. My dear Alina, I think that there is still much art to be made under the name Kovalyov, and I think that there are still many exciting productions that could happen that you could do more to enhance than merely balance budgets and make sure we end up in the black. Whatever you decide, as always, I will be here to support you. And even if the Kovalyov will exist no more and will instead be a thing of Liza's to do with as she pleases, I will still be happy to walk you through as many Italian courtyards as need be to bring new and different kinds of art to your life. Yours always, Timofey Petrovich Yashvin.
My dearest Varya, an editor friend of mine, one Boris Maximovich, is delighted by the two stories I forwarded him from and then I spell this out in a distinct handwriting, unlike my normal scroll. Dmitry Ilyich Mogilev, someone as yet unknown in a Russian literary society. Truly liked both manuscripts and is very interested in seeing the first, more fully fleshed out. I believe I have some red lines he is giving me that will, I think you will find interesting. He has a certain eye. He has been interested in the second piece as well, but I thought I should let you know that the intention for the next show at the theater is to be a grief in summer, which is in reality 3 short pieces. I have decided to only write 2 and have had interest in finding a second talent to assist with the third piece. If you would be very interested in returning to the dramatic form under Dimitri's name, or if you prefer a different name, I would be glad to include them in the 3 pieces written and attribute you as a co-author with A Grief in Summer. I find the short piece form to be especially useful for ideas that I have not yet fully fleshed out. Varya, you are much missed. With Timosha gone and Alina missing and you in Vienna, I might as well just retire to the country and talk to monks all day. Oh, and I do believe that one of the first pieces in A Grief in Summer is going to be about the martyrdom of the old believers. A theme that has been quite popular in Moscow lately among certain circles. Yours entirely, Tolya.
That's a deep cut, my friend.
We have a very literate audience.
Varya receives a postcard from Alina. It's a postcard in French. It's clearly from Paris. And it just says, "I'm returning home to Moscow soon. Will I see you there?" And yeah, it's signed by Alina, so just to be sure.
Dear Timosha, well, and there's a gap. I had hoped that this letter would be all about my travels in Vienna and London. I briefly stopped in Paris. I had heard a rumor that Alina Grigorievna had decamped there, but I was unable to find her. And as you can imagine, the charms of the city more than made up for my disappointment. I, of course, have many interesting stories to tell you, but I'm feared that those will all have to wait, as I seem to have returned to discover that someone has kicked over the Kovalyov theater and released the hornet's nest within. I'm sure you've heard that Elizaveta Kirillovna is bound and determined to buy the theater, and at which point I'm sure that it will not fail to become the Cheops pyramid of her art that she so wishes. The analogy, I'm sure you will note, is quite apt, because it will certainly result in the burial of the theater, the art, and everything that felt good about it. I can't help but say that I'm slightly torn. I've had several opportunities to speak with Konstantin Stanislavski over the last few weeks. There may be places for me in the Moscow art, and certainly he's not without influence both here and in Petersburg. I honestly don't know whether or not it makes more sense to simply leave. Alina is gone. I think this place is slowly killing Anatoly Ruslanovich. My ambitions may no longer be containable within the gilded cage of the Kovalyov. And yet, I cannot help but recall all the pleasant times I've had there, how close I grew to Alina, how much it seems like a family to me, how it brought the two of us together, and whatever else we are friends. I would not have passed that friendship up. I would invite you to tea, but I feel that this requires something far stronger. So if you wish to have a nice bottle of Rhenish that I picked up and spend an evening dissecting all the problems of our theater life and the world of the artist and all the latest Moscow gossip, and I simply must show you the fashion plates I picked up while I was in Paris. Do come. I don't recall the city being this lonely, but it is. Yours, ever affectionately, Barbie, because it's signed in English. I am muting myself. Hey, so that should be epistolary. Are you ready for some novel? So we have a couple of threads that we could be pulling on. Obviously, there's a huge issue as to what is going on in the Kovalyov theater. Is it going to get bought by Elizaveta? There are some relationships that are drifting and or colliding or drifting into collisions. I don't know. I hate to say this, and you're all going to be upset, but I'm beginning to think that this is a visitation chapter. I mean, the last one was basically a quasi-visitation chapter. It was an event chapter that was just a series of small visits with each other.
It's an episodic event chapter.
Well, yeah, whatever. Look, the way to look at this is we've all played, a lot of Good Society, and like many things in the game, the form of the novel chapters is meant to make sure that our imagination is not stupefied by blank page syndrome. I know that I definitely want to have a scene with Alina at some point. I'm sure Liza wants to have scenes with plenty of people. I also need to see Anatoliy at some point. So how do we want to do this? A series of machinations, and then maybe we wind this up with the drawing room scene where we decide the fate of the Kovalyov? How's that strike people?
I just really need a big scene at the end where Victor says what's going to happen. So
that's why it's got to be a drawing room scene, right? I suppose you're wondering why I've called you all here. Now, I should point out that since this is technically inspired by the works of Anton Chekhov, there is a parallel scene in the plays of Anton Chekhov to this precise thing. And that would be in Uncle Vanya, when the professor comes out to tell everyone that he's going to sell the estate. And it ends up with Vanya chasing him around the house, trying to shoot him. So, just saying, we've got some room to maneuver out here. Cool. Well, this is supposed to be my big episode, so So where are you living now, Alina?
Ooh. The first thing that came to my mind is with Veronica, which is just a bit much, but
I will cut that bitch, just so you know.
I think Alina would go to Paris all by herself. Like, come on.
You're back in Moscow now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God, yes, that's right. We did have a question about this.
I think that was just a question that.
No, I just made that up on the spot, but I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally fine to add it.
Yeah, I think she's been staying with Veronica for sure.
Love it.
Okay. So I've waited until Veronica has left, though. Brian, feel free to burst in when you think that it may be a dramatically appropriate moment if that's how this scene plays out.
Oh, I'm going to have my door busting hand on.
I know.
The trigger.
But you're the landlady tells you that you have a visitor, and she seems impressed. And up comes Varya, very smartly dressed in an extremely fashionable walking suit, holding her parasol. It has a big package with a ribbon tied up in ribbons. She's wearing this gorgeous hat. I mean, she looks, she's done up. She's like, Alina Grigorievna, I got your postcard. I came over as soon as I could. It's just been a nightmare getting everything back sorted. So much going on. I had so many people I had to write.
Maria Pavlovna, is that you? I think like Alina's like looking at her with just like a bit of like some astonishment, because Varya does look really smart and really like put together. My gosh, I thought we have only not seen each other for a few months, but it feels as though you have grown.
We must have just missed crossing paths in Paris. I don't know how it happened. I was there, but only briefly.
Oh, you're in Paris?
Where was I not? We started in Petersburg, of course. We went to Warsaw, Berlin, London, and briefly in Paris. Stopped in Milan on the way back. It was thrilling. I can't say that the art we did was very good, but I and the rest of the players did what we could. We did scenes from several Russian playwrights and a few French. I had the great joy to work with Konstantin Stanislavski, who's brilliant, just a brilliant man. I learned so much, but I've not neglected my friends. I have brought you this.
I think I'll take like the package and like open it. What's in the box?
It's several yards of really expensive cloth with trimmings and ribbons. It's really expensive stuff that you could take to a dressmaker, and none of it, not a stitch, not a thread, is black.
Yeah, I think Alina is like proper, like really astonished, and it's just wow. This is quite a gift. Why? Whatever you would ask me to make of this, it would certainly be quite rich.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I missed your name day. We missed every holiday, and you deserve something nice like this. I have something else for you, if you'll accept it.
I think like Alina's like still like looking at the fabric, kind of running it through her fingers. When she hears that, she just kind of like looks up to you, and it's just not really knowing what to expect.
So Varya pulls out a long, slender box, opens it up, and before you can probably even say anything, she's hanging a pearl necklace around your neck. There was a lovely little Japanese store that I encountered during my brief stay in Paris. These are seed pearls taken from the bed of the Sea of Japan. They're very elegant. They look very well on you. She's sitting very close.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean that's like just a little bit, almost like a lot of time has passed, but yet no time has passed at all. It's a feeling she got. It's just wow. These are beautiful. Even while you were keeping yourself busy, Varya, I see.
Alina, may I ask you a question? What were you running from when you left?
I don't think she's like putting one of the pearls because she's still looking at it. It looks expensive. Yeah. Truth be told, I'm not. I didn't know when I was running away or running to someplace. I suppose both happens when you choose to run. The most important thing is like for once I wanted to do something selfish.
So you weren't running from me then?
If I ever did, what would you? Even if I wanted to, I don't think I could ever do that to you.
I can't speak that I have any claim on your affections, Alina. All I know is if it had not been for the work, well, I should have been extremely sad these last several months. There were not many moments when I could catch my breath, but every time I did, I thought of you. She grabs your hands again. You have been so unhappy. You were always so unhappy. It breaks my heart. If I knew you were happy, I could never see you again in my life, and I would find a way. But to suffer the absence and to come back and still see that look in your eyes.
I think like Marina's holding on to Varya's hands, but she's like finding it hard to look at her because Varya has an intense look. Um, is that how I seem to you right now? Still unhappy?
I think you're still sad. I hope that I see some hope, some joy in your eyes right now, but I don't know if I'm just merely putting what I want to see there.
Is that all you want to see? Me happy?
No, I'm selfish. I want us to be happy together.
Perhaps I was wrong then when I said I want to do something selfish. Perhaps I've also been selfish in not wanting to be happy.
I've heard about what's happening at the Kovalyov. I can't say I agree with it, but Alina, I know that place is as important to you as it's been to me, but I cannot help but you will think yourself free if it was taken from you.
Oh, I know something like this would have happened if I'd left. I've always thought that the Kovalyov, it'll only be free from our family if I let it go. And I have, haven't I?
You don't have to. If you want to fight, I will fight with you, for you. At your side, as long as you'll have me. Leans in closer.
Oh, this is that moment inside where I have to choose. Keeps happening.
I'm totally okay if choosing for you if you want. Because
Yeah.
Varya's getting ready to lean in for a kiss. That's what she's here for.
Yeah. I think there's a moment where like Alina like will be like, fuck it. if we just lean in, it's just like give myself to this, but I will pay Veronica a token to burst in at this moment.
You 6 less your own turn someone on roll.
So Veronica is going to come in. She has shed the fur coat this time, but still has a furry hat. And she says, am I interrupting something?
Oh,
I mean, quite frankly, yes.
Oh, well, I can. Let me just get going then.
Nigga, no, you don't need to go. These are your apartments. This is all right. Can we talk at the theater?
Yes. I would it make you happier if we talked at the theater?
Yes, it will.
Very well. Veronica Filipnovas, it's so charming to see you. I had feared I would miss you. You'll excuse me for calling with no note.
Wow.
Well, good day to you both. Alina,
Varya.
I hope to see you soon. Yes, Alina?
I did miss you in Paris. I wish there was someone there who could show me the city like you could have.
All you've ever had to do is ask. I've been waiting a long time for you to do that. Well, good day, ladies. I'm sure I'll see you around.
So as soon as she's gone, Veronica's going to turn to Alina and say, what was all that about?
I think like Alina like sits back down. I think she stood up when Veronica came in. She sits back down. She's still holding all the fabrics. Just kind of like almost like buries her face in the fabrics. Just Veronica, you must think me cruel for leading Barbara Pavlova like that.
I make no judgments. Who am I to judge? But she did not seem to think she was being led on.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? She seems ready to do anything just for what, a smile? For a she said she wants to see me happy, and I would like to think she could want more than that.
She's young. She thinks that by making you happy, she will make herself happy. I have seen it a million times.
Exactly. It has happened a million times, and yet, how often does it end in a happily ever after?
Happily ever after is a silly notion. The question is how happy you are until the end.
Yes, I suppose we're in the constant race to keep ourselves happy till the very, very end, aren't we?
That has always been my attitude. So, what would make you happy? You are so worried about her happiness. What about your own?
Alina like sinks back into the couch, fabric still on her lap. Oh, Oh, I suppose to. Well, that's just it. I'm not sure. Maybe to know what would make me happy. Uh, you, you've seen me for a long time bury ch- mm, a chance for selfishness for the sake of others. I've buried it for so long that I scarce remember what it is that would make me happy.
Alina, your problem is you think too much. It is not that you do not think. It is that you think too much. You talk yourself out of it. You go with your gut. I am going to count to 3, and you will tell me what you will. I want you to think happy thoughts until I get to 3, and then when I get to 3, I want you to say what you are thinking. Okay?
Okay. All right. I'll close my eyes.
2, 3.
I want people to not want things from me.
That is a start. We have decided that you. We can. This I can work with. You go tell that woman. You are done with her.
I think she looks back at the fabric on her lap. It's just. Well, I was hoping to have come to that realization before she gave me all of this.
Well, you can give it back. You will not be able to give her back wasted time.
I know.
Now, I would go with you, but I have places to be.
Of course, you. I'm sure you have gone through all of this before. How else could you be so wise, Veronica?
Wisdom, it comes from experience, and I have had many experiences.
I want to cut it there.
Perfect.
I desperately want to see Timosha, but I also think other people should maybe go in between. So
Yeah, I would love to have a scene with either Timofey or Anatoly, and I'm
Have a scene together, Liza.
perfect. Yeah. So should you seek Liza out, or should Liza seek you out?
Call it.
I think Liza would seek him out. You know what? But I would love to see like her at home. She's been an extremely active character. I would love to see Anatoly come visit her.
So you sent for me.
What was that?
You summoned me.
Yes, that'll work. Yeah, she invites him to her home. She has I believe she would still be living on her own at this point. Although by on her own, I mean at her father's home. So she invites him, and she welcomes him. She's dressed nicer than she usually was back in the day. She used to wear more lighter, flirtier fare, but you can tell she has subtly changed herself to match her role as the trophy wife. So she is wearing more expensive clothing, more conservative clothing, and she welcomes Anatoly Ruslanovich. Thank you for coming. It is a pleasure to see you.
Elizaveta Kirovna, thank you for inviting me. What can what can I do for you? And
I wanted to speak with you about
your
your new play.
He has put minimal effort into his clothing. Only that absolutely required by social decorum.
So a three-piece suit.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
know the necktie is not tightened.
Sure. Uh, you look very tired, my friend. Um,
Oh no, I was merely working when I got your summons.
well, good. I wish to talk to you about work. So that is fortuitous. I wanted to speak with you about your next play.
Yes, Three Griefs in Summer. I am working on it collaboratively with young Dima. I suppose you have heard of Dima.
She'll tap her chin and she'll say, "Well, hold on. Where would she have heard of Dima?"
Nowhere.
No. Okay.
No,
So she'll.
or you may have actually heard of Dima Ilyich, Dmitry Ilyich, in the short story world, but only recently, very recently this summer.
Gotcha. So she'll say, "I've heard something, but I'm curious as to your relationship with Dima."
My relationship with Dima?
Yeah, your working relationship. I want to hear more about your collaboration.
Oh, no. They are three short interconnected pieces, and Dima is writing one, and I am contributing the other two.
Fascinating. Have you
They have
resolved?
no major characters in common, so that there are three distinct roles that the leads will play, where the supporting actors will overlap from place to place in the same role.
What? That sounds like an interesting concept. Divide the work amongst the people so that none of them may truly stand on their own. She says, making herself sound very disappointed.
I think you'll find each of the three pieces has its own power, or at least the audiences will.
Well, how will it cast? Surely you plan on using the same cast for all three, rather than three separate casts.
The concept is that the leads are played by the same actors throughout, and only the supporting cast members maintain the same characters. Otherwise, it would be absurd. You would be casting 6 leads, perhaps 7.
Yes, I'm glad to
However,
hear.
the politics of the casting, I will not be involving myself in. I will, attend the auditions with Victor and whoever else Victor brings for the auditions, and then I understand Lena's back in town, and then I'll be adjusting so that the lines in my pieces will sound organic to the actors.
All well and good. Although, I think perhaps we can be frank with each other. We've known each other long enough, don't you think?
You have been frank with me so often before.
It is my forte. My future husband has his eyes upon the theater, purchasing it at my request.
I had heard something of this.
I've found your most recent plays somewhat lackluster. Your comedy was well enough, but I personally did not like it. Maybe that's my own taste. And your previous one, while Orchard in Winter was very good, it was, I think we can both agree, miscast.
No, I think none of us can agree with that. The critics were idiots and thought that there was a supporting role and a lead role, but the critics do not understand drama unless it involves people kissing. If I want to see people kissing, there are nightclubs in Moscow I can go to.
That's fair. Your next play should, in my opinion, be more obvious about who the lead is. I understand you.
There will be 3, 6, perhaps 7 or 8 lead roles shared between multiple actors. For this particular piece. Are you
I
talking
see.
about the
And
fourth?
you are absolutely committed to that format, then.
We have already begun work on it.
Wow.
I'm
It's never
afraid.
too late. It's never too
Is
late
it?
to make changes.
It's spoken like someone who has never written anything.
No. I act. I don't write.
Yes. So it is far too late to make changes. I mean, we can do rewrites as befits the needs, but the fundamental concept is set.
Well, I suppose I was thinking more drastic changes. Ones that would involve changes in the writer itself.
Well, if you want to dismiss me from my residency, I am sure that a vacation would be in order for myself, and then I could return to Moscow and find another theater to work for.
Well, I'm glad to hear you have options. Well, I
Surely
believe,
you would not wish to start your ownership of the theater by dismissing the person who wrote the highly successful last play the theater produced. After all, if it were not a successful company, why would you choose to purchase it?
She just lets the question hang in the silence for a moment, and she says, "I'd rather not."
Unless that would be such a terrible thing to say out loud.
Well,
I hate to go before tea, but I am supposed to meet Dima.
Of course.
Discuss.
Perhaps when the sale goes through, we can discuss this all together and come to a meeting of the minds.
Yes, of course. We can discuss the future of your theater when it is, in fact, your theater.
Well, it was a pleasure to see you, Anatoliy.
Let us not lie to each other.
All right, then. Then I'll say the truth. I don't want to be in an ensemble piece. I don't want to be I swear, this is not a vanity project for my own ego. But you're not giving me a chance to redeem myself by writing such a thing. You think by breaking everybody down more, you'll give everybody a chance, but you're simply destroying any chance I have of redeeming myself in the eyes of Moscow. Or St. Petersburg? St. Petersburg.
We're in Moscow.
Moscow, I knew it. Redeeming myself in the eyes of Moscow.
You do not seem to mind the ensemble if it is traditionally structured and the other member of the ensemble is a handsome leading man.
To be honest, the handsome leading man bears. It's more the role that I wish to play myself that concerns me. We did say that there would be no more lies. I went to WoW Moscow again. I'm afraid I did get terribly addicted to that high. And I won't WoW it as one of 6 leads.
Liza, I have said multiple times before there are 6 leading roles to be played by 2 to 3 people.
2 people or 3?
I am not the artistic director. I am not responsible for casting. Who knows what will be decided?
Yes. All right. I suppose we'll see. I don't want to be cast into irrelevance at the age of 23.
I would prefer not to be cast into irrelevance either.
And
but
I don't want you to. I want you to stay with this theater. I mean that truly.
I will be glad to finish my contract if you would be happy to let me do so.
I would love to.
But should you find that my writing is not meeting your needs, there is a severance clause.
I'll be sure and have a look at it, but I would prefer not to use it in any case. Well, I think we've accomplished all we are going to accomplish.
Yes, and I have other places to be. I'm very sorry.
Yes, I can tell by your outfit you're incredibly busy. Well, good afternoon.
He just turns and sees himself to the door.
She'll walk him out. She'll do the polite thing, or we shall have somebody walk him out. All right, I think that's it for the scene.
So, Tima, when Varya comes to call on you later that afternoon, how does she find you?
Well, considering that Timothy was not expecting you, I think that you burst into his studio to find him artfully arranging his model with a half-finished painting next to it. And there's probably a certain moment of like awkward, like re-robing the model because
don't, please, don't worry. It's nothing I haven't seen before. Well, the proportions are very interesting. I can see why you were drawn to the architectural nature of this, and without any ceremony, she just tosses her hat in the corner, throws her parasol next to it, flounces down onto your couch, and sticks out her cigarette holder.
So just so everybody knows, the model is also now a new connection for me. So if anybody actually wants to jump into this scene and be my regular lover and roustabout who is looking for a good time and a free ride and also probably knows more about Timofey's plans than they should. Yes. So Timofey, just re-situates his shirt and then walks over and then opens a cigarette case and then places it into your holder and then gives it a light for you and says, I was not expecting you today.
I was not expecting to be here today.
Indeed, I take it that your reunion with our dear manager has not gone according to plan?
Let us say that if it did not go to plan, it did go according to how one might expect. Timosha, you have to help me. I'm not as experienced in this rakish debauchery as you. At what point do you just cut your losses and let her go and be sad in the corner by herself?
I have been asking that question many a time myself. I try to bring some appreciation of a different way of looking at the world into her life, and she rejects it like completely without cause.
Veronica dropped in while we were chatting. Well, we were actually almost in the middle of getting somewhere.
So I see she's taken up rooms with Veronica again.
The thing is, Timosha, I come over here, and because it's you, and because it's me, and me with you, I say all these things as if I didn't care, but I care. I don't want her to be unhappy, and I am mad with how much I care for her. It's pointless.
Timosha prefers a silver flask to you, like already spun open and waiting for you to take a sip.
Good. Thank you. How are you doing artistically? I see that you're already better than me on several scores in other realms of our endeavor.
He gives just a smile and then looks over at the painting that is actually half finished and says, it is indeed quite the turnaround. I seem to have rediscovered some sort of fire within that sets my brush cascading across the canvas like never before. I wish that I could distill some of that for you.
Oh, well, artistically, the trip to the continent was lovely. I can't believe the things I learned from Konstantin Stanislavski, and just sitting up all night in the train car talking with the other actors. I know so little of my craft, but I feel like I've gained something by learning how little I know. Does that make any sense?
Of course it does. If you ever get to a point where you feel like you know everything there is to know about your craft, then you should retire because you've obviously given up on learning anything else.
Oh, well. I've been doing some literary endeavors on the side, so who knows? Perhaps acting isn't ultimately what I should do. I don't know.
Well, a woman of many talents is always appreciated around here.
Timosha, they're going to take the Kovalyov from her. They're going to give it to Elizaveta. What is the point of that? She'll destroy that theater. She'll destroy that theater by thinking she's saving it. She'll make it a monument to her own ego. I don't understand her. I've never understood her. She's so goddamn talented.
Are we talking about Alina or Liza? Misguided in each their own way.
Liza, of course. Alina is talented, but she'll never... She does not heed the words of our Savior and has decided that, it's better to have multiple baskets to hide one lights under in case somebody accidentally knocks one of them over. Elizaveta will make the Kovalyov, or I suppose the Oblonsky, into something that's not what it was. Let's not be overly romantic. It's not exactly a leading theater company, but there was good art being done there. There were good people there.
It was a ramshackle mess, but it was our ramshackle mess, is what you're trying to say.
I suppose I should just be willing to move on. I mean, Stanislavski said there's room in the Moscow art. I mean, I wouldn't have a leading part right away. I would have to go back to supporting, but in time, he's working with many interesting young playwrights. There's so much going on there. I don't know. Of course, that would probably just me. Maybe it's just that would be the end. I would know that's me saying goodbye to Alina and all that. Maybe that's for the best. I should get married to some harmless harmless ballet enthusiast, and we can go on and conduct our affairs separately in every meaning of the word.
He gives a small chuckle and sits down on the couch next to you and says, I wonder about that. I wonder about saying goodbye to someone when they've never truly said hello to you. Is there really that much to walk away from if all you've held on to was longings and stories that you've written for yourself, starring someone else who never bothered to pick up the script?
I think she felt something for me, but she won't. But either it's not enough, or she won't let herself feel it. At some point, I'm going to have to stop caring, but I can't yet. I just saw her, just seeing her after all these months away. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be like you, Tima. You skate over the shoals of love and yet seem content. Perhaps it's your art. I don't know.
Don't say that too loudly. Sergei's right over there. He'll hear you.
Well, I mean, if Sergei's not posing anymore, I'm sure we could entertain ourselves most handsomely.
And he once again chuckles at that and says, perhaps later, when we've had a chance to open a bottle of champagne that I have stored away.
That reminds me. And she pulls from her bag a bottle of absinthe. I picked this up when I was in Paris. I thought you would be charmed.
Well, it's a good thing that I do not have evening plans, because I do believe my date book just filled up for the next 3 days.
Yes, well, I believe Victor's having a meeting in the next day or so, wherein our fates shall be revealed, perhaps.
Are they really our fates, or are they just another signpost pointing us along our path?
This part of me, my head, wishes to say that is true and follow my ambition and let everything fall to the wayside, but the part of me that makes me an artist won't let that happen yet.
Think about the kind of art you could make if you had that new kind of experience. Think about what could be born from the ashes of that fire.
I suppose I should not have come here if I were expecting to hear words of closure and salvage and going back and taking and claiming what is yours.
My dear, it's as if you know me not at all. I would never be one to suggest that you should waste any time considering those who want nothing more to do with you.
And yet, there's a certain clench to your jaw and a narrowing of the brow whenever I mention Yelizaveta Kirillovna's name.
I merely find the ways in which she carries herself to be undeserving.
Oh, I find it quite fascinating. She's hurt you somehow, and for you it is the wounding. It's the spring. If I could follow that course back and find out what it was she did to you, I would know so much about you, Timosha, who is so open with words and advice and tells everybody everything and is a gossip about himself. And yet, underneath all that, who are you? I've looked for you in your paintings and I don't find you there either. You're a very curious man. Sometimes I wonder if you're hiding things, and sometimes I wonder if it's just a vast gallery of mirrors on the inside.
My dear, I thought you came over to pick yourself up, not to dig into me. If you're going to insist on such slanders, I must be much more drunk than I am now.
Well,
let us not let the green fairy wait on us.
I would love it if Sergei said something.
Yeah, please.
Oh yeah. I was about to. Sorry. Well, the sound of a bottle opening. When I was in Paris, which was not at all like the time you were in Paris, you certainly never drank absinthe by itself, unless you were intending for a very long stay.
Well,
sorry, I could smell that from the other room.
Clearly we must send out for a bucket of ice. I trust you have sugar, and I'm sure
he sets a hand-broken bucket of ice on the table. Sugar.
I think Varya takes a sugar cube and holds it in her teeth. This is how the old ladies drink tea back where I'm from, so that they can keep the sugar cubes over many cups. But I think it will work just as well for what we need to do with the absinthe.
Do we just fade out on debauchery?
I think fading out on debauchery is, yeah.
Par for the course.
We are the decadence right here. We are the Russian decadence. That's it.
So, Liza will go see Tima, since they are ostensibly to get involved together in revenge. I remember we had that discussion last time, although Liza seems to have outmaneuvered him I don't know if that'd be the right term. She didn't do it purposefully, but
Yeah, I'm totally fine. Like, I actually love the motif of just like literally kind of almost repeating that exact same like burst in scene. It's like you arrive at my salon and I have like some, men draped in cloth modeling for a thing, and it's more chaste this time. I'm not actually like like sculpting my models, as it were. But there's definitely like nude men, and like that was. I'm just wondering how Liza feels about that.
I don't even think she'll pay them that much attention.
That's so Liza.
Yeah. So, she'll come in. She'll notice them, and she'll say, "Timofey, we must talk about recent developments."
Please, by all means. You don't mind if I keep painting, do you? The light is perfect right now.
No, do whatever suits you best.
To what do I owe this visit, Liza? I hope that you are seeing through on all of the things that we have discussed previously.
Well, indeed. I've been thinking about ways to get my revenge is such a harsh word. I prefer ways I can show the theater that I'm valuable once again. And I think that I have managed to secure funding for the theater not only now, but in the future. And I can use that to my own ends.
Indeed, that would put you in a powerful position against our dear Anatoliy. But is that really as far as you want to go with that? Of course, I know that you'll kick Varya to the curb the second you sign the papers, but wouldn't it feel just as good to send dear Tolia packing as well?
Not a monster. Varya will be welcome to perform the roles she's used to. I would simply, I've already spoken with Anatoly about his, about what the next play should be, and I think I successfully stressed the importance of having a strong lead role suitable for myself. Whether he'll take it into heart, that I'm not sure about.
I've read some of the first drafts of Three Griefs in Summer, and it seems that he's back to writing serious drama.
Serious drama, yes, but the parts are not as meaty as they were in Orchard in Winter, and I find that incredibly disappointing.
Liza, An Orchard in Winter, though I know you do have a special fondness for it, did not perform well. And if you want the Kovalyov or the Oblonsky or the or the Svetlov or whatever you choose to rename it to be, to continue being successful and to be a testament to your legacy, I think you should push him to see if he can refactor it into a comedy.
Is there anything more dreadful to worry about than whether a play will be successful or not? I don't care whether it's successful or not. I want it to be good.
Unfortunately, good and successful are two discrete things and oftentimes don't overlap. And unless you want to throw away very large sums of money on your proving your usefulness to the theater, only to have it closed down after the fact, I think it makes sense to encourage our dear Talia to write a comedy. And I will give you a resolve token to see the reasoning of my ways.
She'll say, I suppose I did do well in the previous comedy.
And with the ear of the playwright himself, imagine what kind of part you could write for yourself. I mean, have written for you as we move into the new season.
You know, there is something very sneaky about you. And we've never really discussed what happened back then with the squire boy.
I believe your last letter said that you were wholly uninterested in revisiting that, and also wholly uninterested in revisiting me.
That was harsh of me, wasn't it?
It was, how shall I put this, the quintessential casting for your type.
You make it sound as if I'm truly a monster.
Well, you play one on the stage rather well.
I play many things on the stage rather well.
He has not looked at you once the entire time. He's just been like fiddling with his canvas.
Sure. I think she's going to go walk in front of the canvas and stand in between you and the targets. Not the targets, the models.
My dear Elizaveta Kiryova, I pay them by the hour, and the sun is setting.
Well, then I'll say my piece and be on. I forgive you.
You forgive me?
Yes. For poisoning him against me. We never came up with a name for him, did we?
Let's say his name was Roman.
Rum. I forgive you for poisoning Roman against me.
I did no such thing. Roman and I had something that was completely unrelated to you.
Roman and I were going to be married.
Until Roman realized that that's not what he wanted.
Thanks to you. And I forgive you for that.
I don't want your forgiveness. Do you think I need your forgiveness? Do you think I see any value in your forgiveness?
Fine. Then I retract it.
Whether you leave it on the table or take it back in your purse or throw it over the river or send it into the air for the gods to take, I really don't care. You see, Liza, I think that you have underestimated your position in this situation. I think that, and many people seem to think that, you are somehow at the center of whatever it is that I want or need or desire, and that is just patently false.
Then what is it you want and need and desire? You're so coy about what you want that what are we to do but to guess?
Well, that's the point. An artist never tells you what their art is about. You merely need to observe it and understand yourself.
Is it not the sign of a flawed artist that if their works cannot be interpreted correctly?
Is it the sign of a true artist if there is merely one meaning to their work?
We're not talking about paintings. We're talking about people. Say what you want about Varya and Anatoliy and Alina. I know what they want. You, I have no idea what you want.
The things that I want are far too complex to be expressed in the ways that Varya and Tolya and even Alina, for all of her variegating, capitulating, indecisive nonsense goes for. The things that I want are mine to consider and mine alone. And I'll let you know, Liza, that as long as you continue to play a part in my decision to get what I want, then we have no qualms. I don't care about your forgiveness, and you can continue on to building your pyramid in the sky. Where did I hear that from?
I have no idea. Well, then I guess let's continue hating each other until Russia becomes a desert.
My dear, the opposite of love is not hatred. It is indifference.
Well, fair enough. Let us be indifferent then. And she'll turn to the models and she'll say, "Good day, gentlemen," and she'll leave.
Can I play a monologue token to find out what Timofey wants? Because I want to know, goddammit.
Yes. We want some hint as to where to hide.
But I don't know myself.
Just
my
emote,
God.
dear
Well-
boy. Just emote.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's do this. Okay.
You don't have to if you don't read it.
No, it's fine. Maybe I'll find my way. I'll just dive in.
Gerald, we're on the cusp of 20th century literature. They can write entire novels about not knowing what they want.
Okay, but I'm Dada in the 20th century, so I have to go against time. Okay. I think it's this like not a montage, but like you see like the paintbrush like scraping into the canvas, and the models are kind of like eyeing each other and then eyeing Timofey as he just like it's one of those things. He starts painting furiously, and then when they try to move, he yells at them not to move, and then in his head he's just going he starts in on Liza. It's like, poor pitiful Liza. She actually thinks that people care about what she wants or what she does. But once upon a time, I think I did care. Once upon a time, I think I wanted her to suffer. I think the way that Roman came between us and then the way that I got rid of Roman reveals just how much that I did care once upon a time. But her time has passed. I will not be thrown away by anyone anymore. I will not let anyone who thought at one point that I was rubbish suddenly see my worth and then just expect to profit from it. For all of the people who came into my life and cast me away, they will reckon with the truth that they should never have turned their backs on me. Liza, for all of her plotting and all of her dastardly plans, is oblivious to the fact that I have been talking with my agent to secure the theater by other means and to swoop the deal out from under her. Dear Tolia has let me right back in with open arms the second I flattered his manuscripts and his words as if they were some sort of treasure that equaled the art that he could have made if he had only stayed in my thrall. Those people don't deserve whatever successes they could have built without me, because they could have been so much greater if they had merely stayed. Because it's not even about them. It's not about what they wanted or what we could have had together. I wanted to make something truly beautiful. I wanted them to make things that were greater than themselves. And whatever they make and whatever they put out, whatever they trot across the boards or whatever they put on a gallery wall or even into a book, is going to be subpar. It is not going to be what it could have been. I think that Varya understands that. Varya, who comes to me every time she needs to be picked up. Varya, who finds ways to breathe new life into words that were hard and scratchy and rusty until she finds some way to sit with me and then become inspired. I would happily pick Varya up 1,001 times if it means that the art that she makes will glitter that much greater. I thought that might have been the case with Alina too, but it seems she is content to be merely mediocre. It is time. I think it is time that we dispense with the comedy and with the drama, and we lay down on the table the truth of the situation. It is time that everyone realizes that I cannot be underestimated and that I should never be abandoned. And with one final brush stroke, you see this abominable, like, cubist painting of what should be two beautiful men entwined in love and turns into an act of violence. Scene.
Richard, you still don't have a scene, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. You know, I'm wondering, do we need the, I suppose you're wondering why I've called you all here scene? Or, because we kind of know what's going to happen now, right?
Maybe we could just make it a montage of like reactions to it.
That, you know, yeah.
I think maybe the next scene would be the leaving.
Oh, yes. You want to do that?
Yes, but first we should have a conversation.
Yes. So you and me? Or rather, you and Dima?
You and I, baby. You and I.
So where are we?
I mean, you won't meet Dima because we're in a coffee shop. It would be inappropriate for me to meet with you elsewhere. It would cause scandal and rumor. And not the scandals and rumors that either of us like to cultivate.
I have to tell you, Anatoliy, writing drama is harder than I thought.
Really?
Yes. You have to do everything with dialogue and the occasional stage direction that you know that the set designers are going to screw up completely.
My dear, it's a lot like writing a short story, except you're going to, for some reason, people are just going to say things aloud that people should. Like, I would never look at you and say, the wood paneling in this cafe smacks of the bourgeoisie. I mean, the wood paneling in this cafe does smack of the
I mean,
bourgeoisie.
it's very bourgeois.
But for some reason, we write that into a little drama, and then people are like, oh, the dialogue was so natural. Here's a hint. The critics have never talked to anyone actually in their lives.
I've been doing some comparative reading, though I don't think it's the way that most people would advise.
Most people are idiots.
That's fair. I've been looking at some of the works of, and don't hate me for this,
I would never hate you.
K.S. Katavasov.
I don't hate you.
Well, I mean, he wrote stupid comedies, a couple of dramas that weren't even published under his own name while he was alive, and then this, and she drops a copy of Tatiana and Her Sisters on the table. This is actually good. This is ahead of its time. This is why nobody saw it.
Who did you write it for?
I have no idea. Well, a little secret. As she tries to hold back a much bigger secret. I'm from the town his family was originally from. I think that's why Olga Pavlovna adopted me as her goddaughter. His grandfather came from my village. That was a strange story by in of itself. His grandfather was a school teacher in the village and adopted a child. Now, he was also extremely close to the landowner, who was a princess who never married. They were very good friends. So who knows?
I'm going to pour 2 more glasses of vodka, and then you're going to tell me an actual secret. You tease me with this notion of secrets, and you just, it's more...
It's not it's not genteel to talk any further about this.
We're in a cafe. No one's done anything genteel in here in at least 2 years.
There's a possibility that the man I call my father is not my father. I mean, it's probably a pretty good possibility, but I mean, I clearly I was not there, so.
That is a decent secret.
Not
Varya.
really. It's not a good thing to have hanging around your head. I might never get married.
Varya,
Yes, yes,
here's
totally.
to neither of us getting married. And he lifts the glass of vodka. He puts one in your hand.
That's all very easy for you to say, she says, and clinks his glass. But it's different. If I don't get married, you know, I'll die. I could die alone in the gutter.
How do you think I was planning to die?
Well, to be honest, passed out on a beach after a strenuous evening's exertions.
Being a jealous lover. That would be a good one.
Do you have a jealous lover?
No.
No.
I have a bunch of non-jealous ex-lovers.
Seems to me that Timothy has vast oceans of jealousy.
For whom?
I don't know.
Timofey is the most self-possessed person I've ever met.
That's what it looks like.
The rest of the world could blink out of existence and Timofey would still glimmer.
I don't think it's as simple as that.
Ever since he was small.
I honestly don't understand him. I like him a great deal. In some ways, there's no one I can be closer to. Except, of course, I can't really talk writing with him, and in that you and I are...
Timofey is incredibly wise about the act of creation.
Yes, I have noticed that, but it's one thing to talk about art upon a generalized sphere, and trust me, we do. Even over absinthe, which is generally not considered a good plan if you're trying to really understand art. On the other hand, maybe it is. No, but this sitting down and working out the nuts and bolts of a character's decisions in one scene, or the ironing out the thorny dialogue, that I can't really talk to him about except in, a sort of educated audience sense. It's only you who appreciate that struggle, Tolia.
I would put Timo's comments on my manuscripts second only to your own, Varya.
That's kind.
Dima.
Dima.
The celebrity of the world of journals.
Yeah, maybe I should just marry Dima.
It's not the worst plan.
Who would hold the crown, though?
You could elope. No one would know.
Hey, maybe Alina would be my bridesmaid and we could run off together.
Have you been smitten with Alina this entire time?
I'm not really sure you can call it smitten. As far as I know, she doesn't really think too much about me, except she notices when I'm not there. But when I am here, she doesn't do anything about it, so... I don't know, Tolia. I talked to Tima about it, but of course, when I talk to Tima about such things, it's going to be about getting over and moving on and finding easy relief, which I will not say did not happen, but I think you understand the other half of this. How can I walk away from someone I truly care about? What am I going to do? She's so unhappy. She's been unhappy as long as I've known her. I think she's been unhappy her entire life. We should get some of that into Act 3.
I should tell you, Varya, you know of Liza's plans.
Yes, I am aware of them. I'm sure she'll fire me the second she takes possession of the keys to the theater.
She's requested revisions. Not in so many words.
To create it, to make sure that there's but one leading lady in this.
She does not understand the fundamentals of drama for someone who has so much talent, who occupies the stage in the way she does. She is so set on the structures of 100 years ago.
She,
Obsessed with them.
you know, Talia, I know that you were looking for a hit and wanted the right play. I think the thing that truly unites us is neither of us are in the business of comparing our unhappiness with everyone else. I mean, am I unhappy? Of course. Do I wish I had 50,000 a year and Alina by my side and all the success and Tolstoy invites me out to Yasnya Polyana to talk about literature? Of course, I wish all these things, but
And then you say no?
I would go. It's Tolstoy. Oh, it's still Tolstoy. You would go too.
Yes, but merely to be seen, to be photographed.
Well, yes. I don't know. He's Tolstoy. The point is, you and I understand that our unhappiness is a combination of our own mistakes and circumstance.
I will debate you there on every point if you're going to talk to a biographer about that.
My point being, I don't need people to sink down into despair to make me feel better. And Timothy and Liza do.
Timothy was the warmest. When I came clean with him, I had been so bitter. So cruelly, vindictively bitter, pathetically bitter. When I remember who I was, when I wrote An Orchard in Winter,
I don't mean it to say that Timothy feels nothing or is he Machiavelli. I just mean there's an unhappiness in both him and Alina, and I think in Liza too. And nothing will reach it because it's of their own will. I don't understand. I wish I could reach out to all of them. I reach for Alina and she evades my grasp. I reach out to Timothy to truly know him, and all I see are more paintings. And Liza, I have tried every time to be a friend to, but she will brook no competition.
she
And
is. I
She
think we are.
she has no generosity, is what it comes down to.
No.
I'm not saying I'm perfect.
She seems to live in a world in which everyone is either a tool or not a tool, a minion or an obstacle.
Perhaps we should just run off to England or something, or America. Could you not see it, Tolia? We could be somewhere in the broad steppe of Central America, a log cabin. I could feed the chickens in the morning. In the evening, we could go to some Presbyterian church and sing hymns.
Are Presbyterians handsome?
I think that it doesn't matter in your case because whatever it is you're thinking about, Presbyterians don't do that.
Varya, everyone does it.
Do they? Because, I've been waiting around for a while for mine, and she just won't give me the time of day.
Perhaps not everyone, but that is never because of the place they were raised.
Well, to practicalities, the middle of Act 2 is complete and utter chaos right now. Nothing makes sense. We need to look at this.
We should read it.
All right.
I'll play Olga as if she was played by Liza.
Shall I go and get a broomstick to jam up your back?
No. This is where she reveals that she is the one who has caused everyone's misery. Correct? And on purpose.
I feel that I should probably not be responsible for the dialogue of these scenes.
Eh.
I missed you a great deal when I was away at Tolia.
I had conversations in my head with you every day.
Haha.
You're far more interesting having been here, though. You say less predictable things. The you who's here now occasionally likes things I write. The imaginary you is vicious. You should know that Liza is threatening to... She did not want to say it aloud.
She'll fire me. I know.
She wants all of us to work for her. She does not want to take the obviously bitter route.
I see.
But when I say work for her, you know what I mean.
Yes, the same way that my grandfather worked for the man who owned all the land. Yes.
Yes.
Well, there's nothing for it then. Well, it's out of our hands.
Well, we could pool our money and buy... We could pool our money and buy a chair. Or perhaps 2 chairs. I might be able to buy the tree from an orchard in winter, the one that was always on stage that you ran into twice because the prop people kept moving it.
Yes. And not a sense of blocking among a lot of them. Well,
I dread Liza as an artistic director.
you dread Victor as an artistic director. You dread everybody as an artistic director.
Not Alina.
Pushkin himself could come back and you would dread him as an artistic director.
No playwright likes an artistic director, darling.
Yes. I am learning these things now.
Look at the words you've written. Do you want Victor to get a hold of them? Or Liza?
We're in theater, my dear. It's a collaborative process. I told you, you don't want that. It's time to write your novel.
I thought we swore you would never say those terrible words to me again.
Forgive me, I'm in my cups.
So, I think this is where we're going to fade out. In scene 2, pretend the person that Mikhail is talking to is Alina.
Okay, so Brian wanted a scene here where we leave after finding out that Tima has effectively bought the theater. Is that the plan, or how do we want to do this?
I was thinking, I like that drawing room scene, and I think it still works if we all find out, because I'm interested in seeing everybody's reactions, including Tima's, now that I think about it. So, I don't know. Would Tima want to be there to, see everybody's faces when they find out?
Do we want Tima to be the one who makes the announcement with an abashed Victor in the corner?
Oh my God. I was not thinking that's how it was going to go. I was thinking that Timo was going to play it cool because he's orchestrated the whole thing through a third party buyer. And it just happens to be Rosalia, who's the new manager. But if y'all want Timo to be the, do the full villain edit, I can do that.
I'm okay either way. Whatever you think Tima would be more likely to do, honestly.
Tima is very scheming, and he would probably not actually even be there. He would probably grill Rosalia afterwards, and what did they say? And how did they do it?
It's fine, baby.
So I guess we're all in the drawing room together.
Can I
sit down next to Alina.
Yeah, so real quick, I do want I do want to talk to Varya. Alina or Liza will say, I do have it's going to be announced soon, very soon. I've been told about the purchase. I want you to know I do want you to stay here. As you are very important to this theater, and easily the second most important actress in the crew.
Oh, well, thank you for your honest assessment. The Kovalyov is my home. I don't wish to go anywhere else, but obviously we must wait and see.
Yes, well, I assure you, as long as I'm in charge, it will never go anywhere.
I appreciate that. And I turn to Alina and whisper, why has Rosalia Vladislavovna here?
I think she like gives Rosalia a look. And if it's okay, like I mentioned, I can have a very quick like flashback to her talking to Victor, probably the same day, right before this, probably in their offices. Just like really quick.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think like we just cut like scene in Alina's just like at his office, which I don't know if he actually uses that much. And
it's dusty. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you're not going to clean this place up anytime soon, are you, Victor?
It will no longer be my responsibility after this afternoon, sister. Nor yours, for that matter, unless you choose to stay here for some reason.
Well, I figured something like this would happen. What would you do next? What are you getting out of this?
An obscene amount of money that will see me to my needs and caprices for years to come. And don't think that I am being stingy. I am going to place a very handsome sum upon you as well.
Well, I'm glad you're still your very generous self, Victor. I could probably disparage you right here, right now for your decision, but let's be honest, it was never what you wanted, is it?
Alina, I demand that we desist with this petty sibling squabbling right now. You're going to tell me that it is the wrong decision and that I should be honoring Papa's wishes and making sure that we carry on the family legacy and all of these other things. But I'm going to tell you right now, what our father really wanted was for us to be happy, and this is what will make me happy. And if I'm going to be frank, I think that this is what you need to be happy as well, because you have not been happy since you were the age of 3, and you lost a teddy bear, and it seems to have just stuck with you ever since.
Victor, a lot of things happened when I was 3. The teddy bear was merely the capstone of that fateful year.
And you have forgotten how to smile. You have forgotten how to have joy. And quite honestly, it is so tiring.
For once, we're in agreement, Victor. I suppose you gave much thought as to who this theater is going to.
Oh, on the contrary, yes, I did consider it quite a bit. There were multiple offers.
Well, I'm sure you did your due diligence, figuring out who you would go to. I'm surprised to say that I'm glad you decided to go through this, but it seemed like something you would do.
Alina Grigoryevna glad for something? Be still my heart.
Oh, if we manage to keep in touch in the next few years, you might even deign to see me smile.
Don't try too hard. I'd hate to see you hurt something.
That nearly gets her to smile. Nearly. And yeah, well, if that's okay, we cut back. And I think Alina's looking at Rosalia, who is like just blending in with the scenery. She's like, oh, I'm just here. What, I'm a businesswoman. What do you want? And Alina's like, well, Varya, if I know Rosalia Vladislavovna, she's never anywhere for no reason.
Well, who cares why she's here? Perhaps she's just here to deal with debts.
Well, Victor, you might as well get on with it, because I either am going to be going back to learn lines or going out to look for work, so...
My dear Varya, there's no need to be so pessimistic. I'm sure that I only come bearing the best of news. In fact, I have something to celebrate with. And he wheels out a cart of bottles of champagne and says, now I know that the rumors have already circulated, and I know that everyone is well aware that the theater is soon to be changing hands. And it is at this time that I am happy to announce...
Eliza picks up a champagne glass. Go ahead.
I am, and
Kovalyov places a copy of his contract in his lap. He has already creased it down the middle and is ready to destroy it.
And Victor is oblivious to all of this, so he holds a bottle of champagne in his hands, and it's like, it is my great pleasure to announce that the Kovalyov Theater has been purchased by none other than the great Gennady Ivanovich Bulgakov. Yes.
Liza drops
I lean over to Varya and just say, whom?
I think I've vaguely heard of him.
I have no idea who that is.
I can see that there is some confusion as to who Mr. Bulgakov is amongst our team tonight. Those of you who are familiar with the greater theater scene of Moscow will know that Mr. Bulgakov is someone who has consistently bought theaters throughout our fine city and has chosen to revitalize some to a beautiful and shining new monument to the great art of theater. However, this is not one of those situations. We have established that the Kovalyov Theater is not opportunely placed for the kinds of theater shows that Mr. Bulgakov wants to perform. However, as a part of my negotiations, I was able to secure the rest of the season, and we shall be putting on one spectacular season of performances for 3 Griefs in summer. That means that we will have another few months to perform together, continue to build these bonds, and then move forward into exciting new adventures.
You're missing the point, my dear boy. It's not Elizaveta Kirilovna.
The hell it's not. And then she'll head up to speak with Victor.
Yes, Liza, would you like a glass of champagne?
What is this? There was an understanding between you and my husband.
Yes, about that. And he looks around and is embarrassed to be discussing business or make a scene in front of anybody else. But I was yes, well, you see, Mr. Bulgakov came to me with a very generous offer, far more generous than what Mr. Svetlov was planning to offer. And in some conversations with Vitaly Vladislavovich, it came to our mutual understanding that he was not willing to exceed that offer. I thought he had told you already.
You liar.
I was surprised to see you, actually. I thought it was very big of you.
You are slime. You know that, Victor?
And then he turns to you and takes the champagne and starts to pour some into your glass and says, "And for once, my dear, I don't need to just accept that and let you say whatever you want. Have a great time working under Rosalia. I've heard wonderful things about her." And he just turns away and walks off.
Perfect. So she'll go back to the other two, or the other 3.
Wow.
Alina has stood up and is like talking to Rosalia, which you not hear the conversations. I'm not talking to myself. I think Alina's just like, well, I guess that's why Miss Vladislavna is here. If you don't mind me, Varya, I should speak to her.
Yeah, I guess I'm holding a flute of champagne for you and for me, and I hand it to you and just say, well, Alina, I suppose then this is the end of your time here. I mean, she'll be the artistic director, and you're now quite well taken care of.
Quite. I suppose I should talk to her about what that means. Victor, you know about him in details. If you excuse me. And I think she kind of just leans forward and just kind of tells you to like meet her backstage in your ear.
Reach out to toast Liza as she passes.
Liza says, What? She looks shocked, like shell shocked.
Well, you no longer have to work for Victor, do you?
I no longer have to work for anybody. Victor just told me they're closing the theater.
I heard him say that myself. I was sitting right here.
Then why aren't you angry? There goes your contract.
I have a 1-season contract. I wasn't looking forward to renewing it.
Does
I
it
will
not
miss working with Alina, but a residency is supposed to be a short-term matter.
Well, then congratulations on being the last playwright of the theater.
I am looking forward to 3 Griefs in Winter, going forward as planned. Will you be auditioning?
She's not going to answer that. She's just going to walk away from him. She literally doesn't have an answer for that right now. I think she'd go up to Varya if no one else is around Varya. If anybody else is with Varya, she'd talk to all of you.
Sure. By the way, are you married now?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I figured that had to happen before the sale. So
you're
you all weren't invited.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I
There
have
you
a ton
go.
of tokens. So she'll go up to Varya and say,
Madam Svetlova, what can I... This was unexpected.
Victor is a snake. A snake.
Clearly, and if you haven't noticed, I have effectively been fired after this production, so...
As have we all. They're closing the theater.
Yes. Well...
This cannot stand. I was planning on leaving here triumphantly. Now I will be a wimp. I will be a limping dog at best.
Limping dog. And what would happen to me? What would have happened to me? I know what you said to me.
And I meant it. After I would just be in 2 more shows, maybe, as the lead, and then I would go on to a better theater. And you would take over after me, just as I took over after Svetlana.
Liza, for the sake of all the times I've tried to be your friend, I'm going to believe you. I want to believe you. Of course, it's moot now. I just hope that maybe I can find something. I hope Constantine can help me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't gotten the notices that you got.
At this point, I have little choice. I thought perhaps this could be my big comeback, and that I could.
Well, yes, but I mean, you're also now quite a wealthy lady around town. You have that to your advantage. I'm not
Who
saying
cares?
that should. Well, I know you don't care, but my darling, it's quite easy to not care and be rich, and it's much harder to care because you're poor, and I will probably be poor soon. So
You're right. Look, this theater means a lot to me. It nurtured me. It was. This is where I came into my own. I don't want to see it die like this, and I don't think you do either.
I have an idea, but it would be extremely difficult, and it would require you and me to finally come to a meeting of the minds and put aside this ridiculous feud that we've been dragging ourselves through. Would you like me to say what I'm thinking? Because that's the condition, Liza.
Fine. All right.
We have a playwright with a hit under his belt, and the new play is very good. Whether it will be popular, I cannot say, but the writing is quite good. We know someone who is a gifted artistic director and has experience in this sort of thing. We have 2 actresses, both of whom have done reasonably well recently and are talented. And you have a lot of money. What I'm saying, dear girl, is why not form the Svetlov Company, find ourselves some theater, and begin again. But not with you as the princess who lords it over like like it's a manor and we are the serfs. This would have to be a company of equals. We wouldn't be able to be equal in money, but we'd be equal in talent and responsibility. That would be how this would have to work. You want to truly enter a communion of artists, Liza, then enter it. Bring your money and let us find the way to make your talent, which I've always had nothing but the deepest and greatest respect for. But I won't do that with you if you're going to continue to think that I must constantly hold your cape because you're one part away from your grand entrance onto the true stratosphere of Russian stage. I will work with you as my friend and my partner. That I'll do. It's all I've ever really wanted ever since An Orchard in Winter. I told you I regretted everything I said when I was a stupid child.
She looks a bit chastised and says, all right. You're right. This wasn't how I wanted things to go, but it is how they went. All right. We'll work together.
We'll talk. We'll talk more as we go. We still have to do this production. Then,
yes. Well,
then we'll do something new.
At least we can send the theater off with a good production.
Yeah, I'd like that. I'm going to miss this old place. I wonder what they're going to turn it into. I'll probably just tear it down and build something on top of it.
What are the kids like these days? I don't know.
I've seen some of the stuff this new playwright that Stanislavski likes so much. It's full of a lot of pauses. I don't really get it, but people like it.
Well, I suppose that leaves just more room for facial expression.
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I think I'd better compose myself before mingling some more.
Yes, I need to take some air, I think. So, Leandro, you want to... Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian.
Oh, she's going to add, I've always thought you were talented. And then that's it. She's just gonna walk. That's as far as she'll go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so do you want to do that scene now, Leander, or do we want to... Is there something other people need to do?
I kind of, yeah, unless anyone else wants to do anything else.
I think I'm good, unless we want to have a Liza Alina scene, because we haven't had a scene at all session.
Yeah, I know.
Also,
But I think we can save that for next time. I think.
Yeah. I agree.
Actually, I would like to spend my monologue token to see what Alina is thinking as she's waiting to meet Liza. Or sorry, she was waiting to meet Varya.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah. She's backstage. She's kind of like sitting at like next to like where the curtains are, on the wings. She's like looking around at this like old, not great looking theater. It's charming, as theaters tend to be when you've been there for decades. And she's thinking that Victor said he worked to acquire a handsome sum, not just for himself, but for me. I do not expect that I'm essentially being bought off from this theater. Rosalia Vladislavovna is not one to mince words, thankfully. She made it quite clear that I could just go. I could just run off and not have to be with anyone who wants or demands or needs things from me. Liza wants so much. Timofey wants too much. Toya wants... Well, Toya never wanted anything from me. And Varya wants me to be happy. Is it selfish to want to just exist and not have to want anything, or not have to serve the wants of others? I could go. And I think she looks around the theater. I could. But I did do that, and didn't I, Alina Grigoryevna? I did go. I tried going. And I'm still here. Does Alina hear Varya coming?
Yeah, I don't think she's trying to be quiet. Kind of her eyes out of breath. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Am I late?
No, you're not late. This theater has been in my family for over 5 decades or so. Been here for quite some time. Throughout all this time, do you know I've only ever appeared on one play? It was some farce by some... what was it? The name kind of fast off or whatever. And an extra was drunk. And everything was in a fever pitch, and so I had to dress myself up in a man's overcoat and pull my voice down as low as I can. Thankfully, I only had 20 or so lines, Probably Katavasov is like I just realized he tends to give even
yes.
extras.
I know his work very well.
He is generous with all his characters, isn't he?
Yes, sometimes. I think of him sometimes as a cautionary tale. He clearly was better than most of the things he wrote, but one can only hope that he was happy. Yeah, Olga Pavlovna knew him.
Yes, I've seen her. I've seen her on stage. She's luminous. Quite a bit of her shine is with you, I've noticed.
Well, thank you. I don't know what to say to that, Alina.
Varya?
Yes, Lena.
You told me that all you want for me is to be happy. That even one moment would suffice. Is that true?
She kind of stands there very still for a moment. I've tried to will myself to make that not the case because I thought you would never care for me the way I care for you. But no, Alina, it's still true. I want you to be happy.
Would that make you happy? Not for a moment, but for as long as you know me.
Knowing that you are happy would make me happy, yes, Alina. For however long I know you.
I think Alina like cast a look in the direction of like where the party was, where Victor and Liza and Tolia are kind of like knowing these are going to be the last few weeks we'll have here. For the longest time, I don't know what would make me happy. Lord knows people seem to have opinions on what it would be. Yet there's so many who just want me to be happy, and I always wonder what did they see that would be worth putting up with me, who never seems to want to be happy. You're the one who's just straight up told me why it's worth it. Varya, is it worth it?
I see you're still wearing that necklace.
It's beautiful.
It made me think of you.
It makes me think of you as well.
We seem to be thinking a lot about each other, and yet we're standing in front of each other.
Let's change that. And she leans in to kiss you.
It's full-blown, big movie star, long turning cameras kiss. It's done. Varya holds you very gently in her arms, looks at you and says, "So let's start a theater company." I'd like to fade out on that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, sorry. Like that had happened in your episode.
Yeah, thank you. I'm reasonably sure I picked up some reputation on this, but you know what? It's late, so we don't have to do that right now. We got questions and secrets. I don't know. We don't really have too much left. It's just like, well, we're gonna put on this show, and maybe start a theater company, and maybe Timothy is going to kill us all emotionally.
Yeah, I don't think I've got any questions right now, or any secrets right now.
cashed mine in. So,
My
by the way,
secret's
there's
still
something I kept
relevant.
forgetting to bring up, but like since secrets are player knowledge, it's totally legit for other characters to reveal secrets that they don't necessarily know, but you work it in. That happens in drama all the time, but too late for that now. Oh well, we can do it for the last one.
Probably should have just done my secret like in the first 5 minutes of the session, but it worked out well.
It's fine. We're screwing around and figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have one secret that I think is, or not one secret, but one big question. And I kind of feel like if we expand it slightly from just Varya to maybe everybody else, but what will happen when everyone discovers Timofey's machinations?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we'll find out. So
Run him out of town.
yeah, unlikely. Probably he will crow over our graves, but be miserable about all the horror he's done to us. I mean, that's about where we normally end up. Yeah, so I don't know if we have any more questions we want to fill. It's also way up on the end.
I don't have any more questions to add because I think I'm still working on the.
Yeah. But we can do that offline too during the week. I just don't want to hold people too late because like some of us are like it's tomorrow already. So
But for some of us it was tomorrow when we started.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyway.
For some of us tomorrow never comes.
Here's hoping.
Okay. Guys, this was lovely as always. Just a lot happened. What happened? A lot happened. There was emotional turmoil and machinations, and the theater. It's gonna close, and we're gonna have to do a Judy Garland thing, and let's put on a show.
We gotta save the rec center.
I'm sure that there are several. there are bridges connecting Liza and Talia that have not been burned yet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
But
Yeah,
Talia,
I'm very curious. Very curious what happens with those two.
Talia's ready to he's got oil, he's got gas and matches. So
Yeah, it's his episode next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Okay, wow. Yeah, yep. Anatoly, you're gonna have to be our guiding light in the end.
Bring us home.
Meanwhile, like I said, this was lovely. I've really enjoyed this, guys. Thank you so much. Times like this when you can sit down with some friends and be really sad 19th century Russians. that's the balm our troubled souls need.
This is a great balm to cat.
Well, I hope you all enjoy it too, because
yes.
I love it.
I very much enjoy this. It's a very healing moment for me. Thank you.
Sorry, you're saying that after what you did and admitted to today.
Being evil can be healing.
I just get it all out here. That way I don't take it out on people in real life. It's fine.
Hey, Christopher Lee lived to be like 97. So.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do this again next week. I look forward to seeing you all then. So thank you all. I'm sure all the Russophones in the world will hate me, but I believe it would be Teatr Kovalyovsky in Russian, at least until you start putting into sentences, and it's going to change because Russian is highly inflected.
It's like she said. It's like she told what she told Tolia to tell Varya. You see what happens when she decides to not martyr herself.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and martyr Alina.
So much is going on. I'm not even sure who to write. If only we had done more with the connections. I would write my brother, but at this point, that seems almost a lost cause to bring that poor guy. You know what?
Well, you might
Oh,
sound,
yeah,
it might be a
you're-
good sounding board.
But Valera, you're safe. Stay away from here. Yeah, it's Chekhov. We should shoot a gun, right?
This is making me want to like rewatch the first session, being like, wait, did we set up any guns?
Yeah, we did. It was called Blunderbuss Liza. We just didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah. Oh, where's
Not
Liza?
supposed to
Oh,
know.
she's not here.
The gun's there, but you don't think it's going to get shot, and then it gets shot.
It
That's the trick.
It takes a lot to combine Natasha from Three Sisters with Arkadina from The Seagull, but you've been pulling this off magnificently.
Especially considering I don't know who those are.
I know, isn't it? That's great.
No one's gonna talk about that. We don't have rumors or scandal anymore. Realized like there's other suggestion in the chat was like to have Rosalia represent the new bidder. It means I still be in charge of this damn theater.
There is
But you'll be so much more decisive than Alina.
obviously eventually this theater will put on a production of No Exit.